Hi everyone, it's 12 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you to everyone that's here so far. We are glad to be doing this webinar today. I've started to share my screen, so hopefully everyone can see this. Today's webinar, we're going to be talking about EdTech matchmaking. So we'll be talking about other tools that you can use in conjunction with Edulastic to essentially build an ecosystem in your school or in your district or in your classroom using all these different tools and giving your students access to multimedia content, assessment content, project-based learning, and so forth. A lot of you will see there's a chat box, so as you have questions, feel free to use that chat box. My colleague Leslie will be joining me and answering those questions. Alternatively, there's the Ask a Question box, so feel free to use that liberally, and I'll be checking those, answering questions that you might have. At this point, though, if everyone can mute themselves, that would be great. And then
Are you on Meeting Burner or Google Chat?
Sorry, I think someone's asking a question about Meeting Burner or Google Chat.
I mean on Google Plus. I got a link for Google Plus, and then I also got one for Meeting Burner.
Yes. Tiffany, is this you?
It is.
Tiffany, so the one on Meeting Burner.
Okay, I did not get the participant ID.
A participant ID, is that what you're looking for?
That's correct.
Let me check real quick. Okay, Leslie's going to send that to you. So Tiffany is going to be joining from Morgan County today. She's also going to be talking specifically about Clever, Google Classroom, and Edmodo. So we're really excited to have her. I'm first going to go through actually sharing grades. We've had a lot of questions about how do you share grades, and so what I want to do is come over to a demo teacher account, and from this demo teacher account, what I'm going to do is download my grades for an assessment. So once an assessment is complete, you have this option. We'll go ahead and click Download Grades. Now, once we have this downloaded, it's going to be in a CSV format. So I can then upload that into my gradebook. So in this case, I'm just going to jump into OSAT Jump Rope, which is a data tracking tool that I used when I was in the classroom. We'll go ahead and add that data from Edulastic that we just downloaded. So I'm going to come over here and import my students. So this is where I'd be able to upload a file. I'll go ahead and browse. And right here under my downloads, I'm going to choose this top CSV file that has my grades. And we'll see my records load. So here we've got students. It's a little confusing, so that's why it's nice that a lot of these data management programs will have like a mapping tool at the bottom. So we have the student names, we have their score, and those are the two things that I want to import. You might want to import other information as well, but in this case, I just want their name. So we'll go ahead and say assessment name, which this is actually for the student names. And then down here, we want the grade. So our grade is going to be here under subject name. So I'm going to map like that. Subject name, and now I'll press OK. Now here we go. We've got our different students, and we've got their scores. And then I'll probably eliminate these two top rows. But now I can save that, and that's now here in my data management system. So it's really nice to be able to translate grades across platforms, and that's one easy way to do that with the download on Edulastic. So jumping back over to my teacher account, there have been a lot of questions about how do I integrate multimedia content. So I'm going to show you how to pull multimedia content from several sources. So we'll come and pretend like we're creating a new question. I'll just make this multiple choice. And the way that I'm going to embed a lot of this multimedia content is through this same video embed icon that you see when you're looking at your text editor on Edulastic. So I click Insert Video, and then I'll come back over here. And in this case, I actually want to embed a Google Doc that I've shared with my students previously, and I want that Google Doc to be on my assessment. So I actually already did this, but I'll show you how to publish to the web and then embed in Edulastic. So if I'm on my Google Doc, I can come to Publish to the Web under File, click there, and then I click Embed here, and here is our embed code. So I just have to copy that into my teacher account, and under the video embed code area, I'll put it here. This iframe is going to, it has a parameter that I don't like, so I'm going to change the width here. I might say width 100%. I'm going to say height equal to, and we'll just say 700, and use our code. So now I'll insert. So now that that Google Doc, the content that I had there, is available in my question in Edulastic. So this previous assessment that I might have given on paper, I can now give on Edulastic very easily because it's here. It's got different questions on it that now I can ask my students right down here. You know, maybe I'll put my text below here, and then I can put answer choices. And so I just turned my afternoon into an excellent afternoon because I no longer have to do paper grading. There's automatic grading on Edulastic, which is great. So another tool that you might want to use is this tool that we came across visiting our partners in Arkansas. It's called Timeline.js. And you can essentially go in, create your own timeline with multimedia content. And then at the end, you publish it the very same way that I published this Google Doc. And it also gives you an embed code. So I'm going to take an embed code just from their website just to play around with it on Edulastic and see what it will look like. So I'll go to our video embed area again. And then here I'll put in a code. And it's loading our timeline. And now we have our timeline here in Edulastic as part of that question. And a student would interact with this timeline just like they would under Timeline.js, but now they're in the middle of their assessment or their assignment, and they can interact with it like that. I think that some of these, there's like a map, they can still use the different map features. So it's really, really kind of cool to be able to include content like this. Just when the sound's off, we can turn that sound on, so they might have to listen to some material. So that's how you would use that. And again, that tool is called Timeline.js. If you want to use that tool, great. Something else people use, Prezis. Prezis are a little bit like PowerPoint, but a little bit more interactive. And what I'm going to do is actually go to my Prezi, the Prezi that I've created. You can also search for other people's Prezis. And once you get into that Prezi, they have this embed option. So in that same way that I copied these other embed codes, I'll just copy this from Prezi. And on my teacher account, come back and we'll put in our embed code so we can see what the Prezi is going to look like. I think it's still loading. There we go. So there we go. This is a Prezi I did when I was teaching in Philadelphia on Richard Wright's native son. So students can now go through the Prezi, start the Prezi, and it loads, and then they walk through it just like they would on Prezi, but now they're in Edulastic. So there we go. Got that content. Sorry, a lot of tools, I know, but hopefully this is useful for a lot of you. I know one of the first things I like to do with new tools is figure out how I can use my other tools with them. So for instance, on SoundCloud, a lot of teachers need to do read aloud as a special accommodation for IEP students. And so SoundCloud is a great place you can come and actually record some audio. And so if you want to read aloud a question or read aloud some content, you can come and do that. And then once you do that, you'll have a sound bite like this. And then we come, instead of share, we're going to do, again, embed. I think we're sensing a common trend here. Copy that embed code. And back in Edulastic, under our question, and we will embed that. It'll take a second to load. I might change the width and height because that's pretty big, but now I have this sound bite that I can include in my question. I would just play it like we would on SoundCloud. So it's Andrew Bird for Andrew Bird fans. And then YouTube is the last thing I wanted to cover. This is one of the big ones that we always push out because it's great to have that video content. So this is Sir Ken Robinson's Do Schools Kill Creativity, a TED Talk that he gave, and I'm just going to embed that using the embed code down here under Share. So we'll come to our text editor, put that video in there. There we go. Now we have our video as part of the question. So there's a lot of different tools that we can use to make our questions engaging, and then pull in maybe previous content that we've done. I know a lot of teachers use Prezi on a pretty regular basis, so for students to be able to answer questions on content that they've already seen makes it very comfortable for them, and it introduces them to this idea of technology-enhanced question types and to multimedia content. So at this point, I want to turn the time over to Tiffany, who's going to be talking about, like I said, Clever. She'll go into Edmodo and Google Classroom. So let me come over here and let's find you, Tiffany. Okay. Message remind me to stop sharing. And we'll come to Tiffany. Okay. And Tiffany, you should be able to share now. It might take you a second to download.
Yeah, it's downloading right now.
Perfect. So while she's doing that, I'll just kind of introduce people to Clever just very briefly. Clever does a sync with student information systems. So in Tiffany's case, I know she's using Infinite Campus. Others might be using Aries. And so what it does is it takes those student rosters and it syncs those with your other platforms. So if you're using Edulastic, if you're using Dreambox, there's a whole slew of apps that you can then sync your student rosters with. So it's a pretty unique tool, and it'll be good to go through with Tiffany, and she'll definitely be talking about how to share with specific sections instead of doing a sync across the whole school. You can specify just certain classes, etc. Almost there, Tiffany.
Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so you should be able to see my Clever account now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so a base overview of Clever is a free application. We've been using this for about 4 years now. When you look at the dashboard, these are all of the objects that I am using through our school district. The ones that are listed at the top are ones that have instant login features. So meaning if a student clicks directly on Keyboarding Without Tears or Edulastic, it's going to recognize them through our Infinite Campus server and log them in. So especially for kids that forget their password all the time, or if you have younger age kids, it works great. There are literally hundreds of applications. These are all of the applications that Clever supports, and a lot of the ones that aren't even listed here are available if you contact your sales rep. The ones that have marked free on them, you can add instantly to your dashboard and begin using. So I know one of the features that our teachers use is Educreations, so we have that on there. So any student, any teacher can click right on it. Google Apps, there's quite a few free ones that are listed, Noodle. So it's a very, very easy tool, and it's as simple as if you want to add one, you simply request another application, put in the application name and hit request, and Clever is very, very good about getting right back to you. Another one that I just added is EduCanon. We use it all the time for embedding questions into YouTube videos and things like that. So it's very, very simple to do the portal. Instead of having our desktop so crowded with shortcuts for the younger kids or even for teachers that don't remember how to save something to their favorites or whatever, you can go in and configure your login instant portal page. So I've added these to my school and all of our districts. So you can come down here. You'll notice that Edulastic is going to be listed in there, and you can configure who gets it. I have it set to all grades, all schools. If I didn't want it, if I only wanted first grade to get it, I could select that, and only first grade students would be allowed to use this program. So it's very, very user-friendly. And what it looks like is when a teacher goes to log on, it takes them to a page that looks like this. They click on Login with Google. And I'm going to click on Login as a teacher. Since I'm a district admin, it shows me both. I can click there, and it takes me to my login page that has all of my shortcuts on it. So if I wanted to log into anything here, I simply click on it, and it takes me directly to the website where I can log in with my Google account or whichever account that I choose to use. So here it takes me right into my Edulastic here. The second feature that, if I remember correctly, that y'all wanted to look at is Google Classrooms. So we use Google Classrooms with Edulastic as well. Google Classrooms and Edmodo are very, very similar. Edmodo has a little more, it's more feature rich because it's been around a little while longer. So I use Google Classroom in a couple of different ways. Since I'm doing professional learning for the teachers and staff development, I create classes that have teachers already assigned to them. So like I'll create templates for teachers. So one thing that I can do is come in here and I can either create an announcement or an assignment for a staff member. So I'm going to make it an assignment because I want them to try this. So I'm going to say red fridge template. And our kindergarten teachers and some of our primary school grades really like this. You can choose a due date and a time if you want it to be done before that time. I've got these things linked to my Google Drive, so I'm going to come in here. When you create a classroom or Google Classroom, it will automatically create your folders and automatically name folders by the course or the class that you've named. So I'm going to come in here, and there's my fridge magnet that I've added for the teachers. Basically, the kids have an alphabet over here to the side. They can drag and drop either with their smartboard or tablet or whatever they'd want. The main thing that I'm going to change here is I'm going to say make a copy for each student. So a teacher can come in here, click on that, and it's going to save a copy of this template into their personal Google Drive so they can use it over and over again. I can also embed video, links, whatever other assignment type that I would like. And once I click on Assign, it's going to assign this to any of my students that are listed on this tab. There's two ways for your students, and I use students very loosely. They can be teachers, administrators, whomever you want to issue out information to. You can either give them this code, and on their tablet, computer, whatever, they can go in and add this group by simply going back to the home page here and clicking on the big plus button and join a class. Or you can come in here and go to your Students tab, and I can invite. Now, if you're a member of a school system, you need to invite somebody that's inside of your group. So let's say I wanted to invite Betsy Short. I would click on that, invite student, and it's going to automatically add that student to my roster without them having to type in this class code. Okay? So the other thing that's just a really quick thing here, announcements are very, very simple. Let's say I wanted to use my Google Classroom with Edulastic. Since Edulastic gives you a link or a URL, you could very easily type in whatever the assignment was, issue out the link here from your Edulastic, and post it for all students to make sure that they go into Edulastic and take it. So it just is a simple reminder for them. The next application that we have is Edmodo, and it's very similar to Google Classrooms. It's just quite a bit more features are available. So I'm going to log in as a teacher first. I'm also the district manager. You can actually host your own district. You'll notice up here it says morgan.edmodo.com. They will set all of that up for free for you. These are all of my groups that I manage here. It's the same thing. A group in Edmodo is the same thing as a classroom in Google Classroom. So I have my test site here. So I'm in the Markley class homepage. I kind of tell everybody that Edmodo is kind of the Facebook for education, and that scares people at first, but it's very, very secure. Once again, you'll see the group code here. You give that to the teachers or the students or whoever you want to join your group, and only those people will be able to see your group or your postings. The other great thing about Edmodo that our staff and myself really likes is with small groups. We have to break apart our kids a lot. And Edmodo gives you the availability to create small groups, and you can issue out custom assignments. So if you had an assessment made in Edulastic for your advanced kids, you could issue that assignment out to one small group, and you had a modified assessment for your, say you have EIP kids or kids that have a 504 plan or whatever, you can create a second group and issue out a completely different assignment, and the students don't know that they're getting different assignments. So that's one great feature. You can type notes here, so if you just wanted to say, reminder, please remember there's a field trip tomorrow, bring in your sack lunch or whatever. An alert is just like a text message. It will send it out to any device that Edmodo is installed on. They have an app for it in the App Store, Google Play Store. You can download it on anything, and if I send an alert, it will send it kind of like a text message. Edmodo also allows parents to join and see only their child's information. So when they do anything, if a teacher sends an alert about a reminder for a test, it would also notify the parents if they chose to do so. An assignment is simply just what we did in Google Classroom. You give it an assignment title. You can, once again, put in an Edulastic link. You can link it to your library, which is kind of like your Google Drive. The one thing that I do like about this is you can do a scheduled message. So instead of, I do a lot of work in the evening, or let's say I get, staying up late trying to get my lesson plans ready for the next day, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want to send a notification to possibly wake up a student or a parent or a teacher. So I can come in here and schedule the date when I want it to go out. So if it's an inappropriate time at 1 a.m., I can schedule it, okay, I want this to go out at 8:30 the next morning. And I can say okay, and it will schedule that post, and it will not send it out until this time. The quiz feature, now that we have found Edulastic, I don't really see a huge use of this anymore because it was very limited in what you could build quizzes. You could basically do multiple choice, true, false. It will grade it for you, but it's very minimal features on. You can't embed video, you can't do pictures, that kind of thing. Poll is simply that our teachers send out, let's say they're working on a standard and they want to make sure that the class gets it. They're going to put a question out there, send it out, and it will let them know, it'll gather the results back and tell the teacher whether they have mastered that standard or not. And finally, Snapshot over here. It is the newest feature of Edmodo. Edmodo is a free product up until you get to everything that I've showed you so far is free, absolutely free, until you get to the Snapshot. And you can actually do snapshots. The only thing is they have a bonus feature, which I don't even really need because it's for district reports, to do exporting to different tables and things like that. You can actually create one for your class very easily. And let's say I want to do a math one for grade, I don't know, we'll go 3rd grade. These are the standards that it just preloads. Let's say I'm not covering any of those standards. I want to add more standards. Let's say I'm covering numbers and operations, NF2A. And that's all I want to see if the kids actually know about that. So that's the only standard I'm asking. I can give it a name of, ticket out the door. The date, I can set a time limit if I want it. Let's say I want them to be done in 20 minutes. I can add a note with instructions. Please do your best. You can see that it gives me 4 questions, and you're going to go, well, I'd like to kind of see how this is going to align. So I want to, as a teacher, I want to click on a student preview. It gives me my questions that are going to be available for the students. I can say, yeah, this is going to be pretty good, so I'm going to close that. And I'm going to assign now or plan for later. If I click on plan for later, I can actually schedule a date and a time for it to be released. We have really liked using Edmodo. It's a fairly feature-rich, I believe. One other thing that I would love to show you all about Edmodo, and we use it all the time, is they have a communities forum that I really enjoy. If you're a math teacher, language arts, whatever, you'll notice all of the communities that you can follow. If you use Class Dojo, Learn Zillion, all of these things you can click on and add and follow this and ask them a question. So if I'm a math teacher, I can look at the community. There's 501,579 members right now. You'll notice people type things in here all the time. Suggest a good process monitoring program. They have had 8 replies. Okay, so it's a great, great feature, and it's free. It's not going to cost you a dime. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I covered?
Well, that was great, Tiffany. Thank you for that overview. Some really good tools there. It's great to see how she's able to implement all these tools and you know, like we said, create this ecosystem of tools that are helping her students in many ways. Any other questions in general of other tools that we've covered? Well, great. I feel like this was an overload of great tools and technology. We did record the webinar, and so I'll be sending that out to you. And feel free to share that with colleagues that might not have been able to make it. We'll also send a feedback survey, and so if you have additional questions, you can leave those there and let us know how the webinar went. So thank you to Tiffany, and thank you to everyone that participated. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Thank you.